Does the question of why Iran launched an attack on Israel and why America remains seemingly idle about it keep popping in your mind? This is a question that has been circulating in political circles and making international headlines. To fully comprehend the current situation, we must first travel back in time. The Iran-Israel conflict, undoubtedly complex and multifaceted, finds its roots in the mid-20th century. The catalyst of this conflict lies within the political dynamics of the Middle East, especially the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, an event that agitated a swarm of political, religious, and territorial disputes. Over time, these disputes evolved into a fully blown conflict, with Iran and Israel at the center. Iran's motivations are diverse, influenced by ideological, strategic, and political factors. The nation's leaders see Israel as a Zionist entity posing a threat to the Islamic world and have publicly supported the idea of Israel's downfall. Conversely, Israel, though small, is a powerful nation constantly on alert, responding with strategic defense and intelligence operations. The Jewish state sees Iran's nuclear aspirations and its support for militant groups in the region as direct threats to their existence. Pivotal events like Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979, the Iran-Iraq War, and the ongoing tug-of-war over nuclear power have only exacerbated the situation. The conflict has been characterized by proxy wars, cyber attacks, assassinations, and an unyielding war of words. Yet, there is a third player in this geopolitical chess game, a superpower with deep ties to both nations, the United States of America. The U.S. has a long history of alliance with Israel, supplying it with substantial military and financial aid. However, also shares a complex and tumultuous past with Iran. This condensed paves the way to understanding the current situation. But what part does America play in this conflict? America's role in the Iran-Israel conflict is complex and multifaceted. The United States has had a long-standing relationship with both Iran and Israel, although the dynamics have shifted significantly over the years. In the mid-20th century, America and Iran enjoyed a relatively friendly relationship. Iran was seen as a crucial ally against the spread of communism during the Cold War. However, the Iranian Revolution of 1979 upended this relationship, leading to a deep-seated hostility which continues to this day. Israel, on the other hand, has been a close ally of the United States since its establishment in 1948. The bond between these two nations has been underpinned by shared democratic values, strategic interests, and mutual defense agreements. Over time, the U.S. has provided significant military and financial aid to Israel, reinforcing their alliance. Fast forward to today, and we find America caught in a delicate balancing act. On one side is Iran, a nation with a deep-seated resentment for America due to its role in propping up the Shah regime, and on the other side is Israel, America's steadfast ally in the Middle East. The current American stance on the Iran-Israel conflict is one of caution and restraint. The U.S. has consistently condemned Iran's actions while affirming its commitment to Israel's right to self-defense. However, the U.S. has refrained from overt military involvement, focusing instead on diplomatic and economic sanctions against Iran. The reasons behind America's cautious approach are manifold. International politics, diplomatic considerations, and the desire to avoid being embroiled in another protracted Middle Eastern conflict all play a part in shaping America's response. Furthermore, the U.S. is aware that its actions can have far-reaching implications, affecting not just the immediate conflict but also its relationships with other nations in the region and beyond. So this brings us to the question, why isn't America doing anything? Well, it's not that America isn't doing anything, it's that the actions it is taking are calculated and measured, designed to maintain a delicate balance in a volatile region. America's seeming inaction in the Iran-Israel conflict is puzzling to many. Let's dive deeper into this. First, we must understand that foreign policy is a complex game. America's current approach could be due to a number of factors. The potential for a full-scale military intervention, the risks involved, and the strategic considerations all play a role. Let's start with the potential for intervention. The repercussions of military action are enormous. The Middle East is a volatile region, and any military intervention could lead to a larger conflict involving other regional powers. This could spiral into a situation that is difficult to control and could have devastating global consequences. Next, we come to the risks. Military action is always a risk, especially in a region as unpredictable as the Middle East. There is a very real possibility that any intervention could backfire, leading to an escalation of violence and potentially dragging the United States into another protracted war. The human, economic, and political costs of such a conflict could be astronomical. Then we have strategic considerations. America has its own interests in the region, and these interests have to be balanced with the desire to maintain regional stability. The United States has significant political and economic ties with both Iran and Israel, and any action it takes could have far-reaching implications for these relationships. Finally, there are the political and diplomatic constraints. The United States is not a unilateral actor. It has to work within the framework of international law and the United Nations. Any action it takes must be justifiable, not just domestically, but also on the international stage. So, America's seeming inaction is not necessarily a sign of indifference or passivity. Instead, it could be seen as a calculated approach based on a complex interplay of risk, strategy, and diplomacy. But what does this mean for the future of the Iran-Israel conflict? Well, that's a question we'll delve into in our next segment. Remember to stay tuned as we unravel the intricacies of this geopolitical conundrum. The future of the Iran-Israel conflict is uncertain and fraught with challenges. As we gaze into the crystal ball of geopolitics, we see a few distinct possibilities. On one hand, the conflict could escalate, with rising tensions leading to a full-scale confrontation. On the other, diplomacy could prevail, with international mediators stepping in to broker a peaceful resolution. The role of negotiation cannot be overstated. As we've seen globally, diplomacy is often the key to unlocking even the most seemingly intractable disputes. A dialogue, however difficult, can pave the way for understanding and compromise. In all these scenarios, one can't ignore the elephant in the room: America. Its influence on the global stage and its historical ties with both nations make it a key player in the narrative.